But if you have an interest in being an entrepreneurship mentor for one of these kids coming to the program and being able to work with them over the summer, to be able to check in with them every couple weeks on how they're doing, please let us know. And so I want to take questions. How are we doing on time? 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Okay, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Any questions?
I'd like to make a comment, if you don't mind. My name is Vincent Howard. I'm with the Coffee News of Durham RTP. We service here at the Chamber and local coffee shops around town, a number of places. But I apologize for my tardiness, but I really like what you presented today. And in terms of, does your organization extend, I know it's concentrated in Durham, but does it extend outside of Durham to other local churches and organizations and things like that maybe would come in to help facilitate the need of DurhamCares? So we're trying to.
So does DurhamCares care about anything outside of Durham?
Yes.
Okay, so yes and no. DurhamCares is all about Durham. We'd like to be able to make this organization excellent enough, and we've already talked to people from Boise and from Chattanooga, Tennessee that want to do Chattanooga Cares and Boise Cares, and folks from Raleigh, a number of different organizations from Raleigh that we really want to do Raleigh Cares. In each case, we said, we will give you everything you see here. So the complete template and all this stuff, and we spent quite a bit of money in developing it, so we'll give that away for free. And that's the way that we'd like to be able to bless other communities that like to do something like that in Raleigh or another city. But we want to be, this is not about the triangle. It's not about Cary. It's not about Raleigh. It's not about Chapel Hill. And we get quite a bit of calls on that. Now, there's a little bit of overlap. Big Brothers Big Sisters is of the triangle, but their real need is in Durham. We want to be real specific about this city. This is not a triangle-wide initiative.
But you will accept volunteers and support from people outside of the community?
If they love Durham and care about Durham and want to get plugged into this community, absolutely. Yeah. And we've got a number of volunteers that come from Chapel Hill and Cary.
First of all, amazing your sense of dedication and love for Durham, and really personal mission. It's remarkable and inspiring, obviously. So I've got a question for you. I'm Gina Upchurch. I'm a senior pharmacist. I'm the executive director of a program that helps older adults with medications. And I'm just curious, when you got these ideas and you built this over time, I mean, you say it's 100% of what's donated goes, but clearly it's subsidized because you've got some staff now and there's expenses involved with doing all of this. How did you decide to create something new versus tapping into the Volunteer Center, RSVP, Triangle Community Foundation, Triangle United Way? A lot of them have metrics and push collaboration, and I mean, this is different in the sense that it pulls those things together, and I see some transparency that you may not see with other organizations around, here's their metrics and here's, I see some transparency that you don't necessarily see with other organizations, but I'm just curious how you decided to create something new versus try to tap into things that, and maybe you're already collaborating with those, but if we could hear about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's something we spent a lot of time thinking about. If there are 1,400 charities and that's part of the problem, why create the 1,400 first, right?
Right.
And if we're subsidizing this with money, wouldn't we be better off taking that sum of money and maybe investing in the Volunteer Center or some of the other places? And those are all great questions. And we think about them at least once a week. Are we just doing this for a sense of propriety? Are we reinventing the wheel? And there's a real high standard there. And I'll tell you, the standard that we set for ourselves is that we said there is less than 1% of giving, local giving, going to local charities we talked about. We also found out that 65% of people in Durham have never volunteered before. So the question was, how do we double the local giving? How do we reverse the trend so that 65% of people in Durham have volunteered when we do this next in 3 years? How do we do that? Do we work within existing organizations? Do we partner with them? How does that all look? And taking a look at their leadership structure and having spent some time and looking at the different resources in Durham, many of which are good, candidly, and this is a critique, and I'll get arrows shot at me all day, candidly, we didn't find the organization in place that we thought that we could put the same amount of money and effort behind where we felt good enough about them achieving the same goal. The other thing that was important, and that's an unfair balance for them, because we think that if you're going to go ahead and really marshal investing resources, it's almost impossible to work with the United Way, because United Way will always take money off the top to underwrite their expenses. And I think that a lot of the folks in Durham would like to see 100% of their money go for something. So sometimes I think that more organizations locally would be better off if they went to their board of directors and said, look, say we've got $500,000, $400,000 of operating expenses. We are going to, and we've got a need this year to fund all of that. But we really, if we could raise $1.4 million, look at what we could do. So if they were to instead say, listen, we are not going to go to a fundraiser and talk about our overhead, how much money we spend on fundraising, all this type of stuff. If we're instead going to go to a new person, a new potential donor, and say 100% of your money is going to go into these programs. You don't have to worry about our overhead or anything like that. It's already taken care of. I think you would mobilize and move the needle beyond that 1% to 2%. I think you get there. I think that people have a sense that a lot of these organizations have this bureaucracy, and there's a lot that's going on there, and people just think, working on our charities, that must be working on our CFOs, all getting paid $50,000, and there's just a lot of overhead. So we really thought that that approach would be able to foster that with an independent organization rather than working with the United Way. The other thing that's important for us is our faith base, and our inspiration. We wanted people to understand why we do what we do. It's I don't sit on a corner and pass out tracts or things like that, and I don't do a great job of one-on-one evangelism, even though my faith is very important to me. This is how we manifest our faith and how we do it. We thought if we partnered with the Volunteer Center or some other secular organization, that would be lost, and therefore our inspiration and our passion would be diminished somewhat. But we always have to watch ourselves on that. It's very, very important. We have got it, and that's why we have internal metrics about how many volunteers did we reach last week, how many people do we take on trips and introduce to Durham. Because if we're not moving this, and it just becomes some sort of a glitzy, feel-good hobby for us, then we've really done the community a disservice. So we're happy to be called out on that if you think we're doing it.
Do you have any relationship with the Volunteer Center?
Yeah, and tell everybody, I like that format. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Lloyd Schmeidler with the Durham Affordable Housing Coalition and the 10-year plan to end long-term homelessness in Durham.
And your question was again, sorry?
Do we have any relationship?
We had met with them. It took a while to finally meet with them. They're, I understand, down to one staff person that we met with at college for lunch. Very, very overwhelmed. We had told them that we'd love to take their overflow. We'd love to help them out. They don't have, unfortunately, the resources to do that type of a counseling. We do, but they've got a great name. They've been around for a long time. I think over time they service 3,000 volunteers. And I think that they've got a very wide scope. They will help people volunteer if you want to remove non-indigenous plant species Homestead Park. They've got a volunteering opportunity for you. We're very focused on the human condition. I want to leave the kudzu where it is until we get all the kids in Durham that need mentors to find mentors.
I really appreciate your focus on interviewing the volunteers and getting a good fit.
That's important for us to do. And we very much want to work in partnership with them, and we meet with United Way, and we want to be able to be a resource for all of them, no doubt about it. Jessica. Who are you?
I'm Jessica Clark, and with Clark and my question is regarding the tours of Durham. How do we get on the bus?
Oh yeah, you go to the trips page, and there's a sign-up form, and you can email trips@DurhamCares.org. There should be a schedule. We had one last night, 20 folks, and it was a really neat collection of people. And we had a guy, we were at the Farmers Exchange, we had a guy who used to collect eggs at the Farmers Exchange. And then we went to Trusted Lakewood Dairy, and we had somebody who used to get milk bottles. So it was really a neat local flavor. And so when we get, that's typical. Typically, we'll have about 20% of people who've grown up in Durham who can really flavor the whole thing with some really neat anecdotes. But that's the answer to your question.
How do you get involved with, I'll introduce myself first. My name is Mary Spade, and I'm the director for the Small Business and Technology Development Center at Durham Central University. And we are an organization that's university-based, small business development centers across the nation.